Hi guys, today is the 16th of February 2021. Today I'm going to read Esther 6-10, Proverbs 16, and Psalm 49. Let's get started. That night the king couldn't sleep, so he ordered the official records of his rule be brought in. He ordered someone to read them to him. When Mordecai had done was written there, he had uncovered the plans of Bigthana and Teresh. There were two of the king's officers who guarded the door of the royal palace. They had decided to kill King Xerxes. What great honor has Mordecai received for doing that? The king asked. Nothing has been done for him, his attendants answered. The king asked, "Who's in the courtyard?" Haman had just entered the outer courtyard of the palace. He had come to speak to the king about putting Mordecai to death. He wanted to talk about putting Mordecai's body on how he had prepared for him. The king's attendant said to him, "Haman is standing in the courtyard. Bring him in." The king ordered. Haman entered. Then the king asked him, "What should be done for the man I want to honor?" Haman said to himself, "Is there anyone the king would rather honor than me?" So he answered the king. He said, "Here's what you should do for the man you want to honor. Have your servants get a royal robe you have worn. Have them bring a royal horse. Have them bring a horse you've ridden on. Have a royal mark placed on its head. Then give the robe and horse to one of your most noble princes. Let the robe be put on the man you want to honor. Let him be led on the horse through the city streets. Let people announce in front of him, 'This is what is done for the man the king wants to honor.' Go right away," the king commanded. "Get the robe. Bring the horse. Do exactly what you suggest. Do it for Mordecai the Jew. He's sitting out there at the palace gate. Make sure you do everything you suggested." So Haman got the robe and the horse. He put the robe on Mordecai, and he led him on horseback through the city streets. He walked along in front of him and asked, "This is what is done for the man the kings want to honor." After that, Mordecai returned to the palace gate, but Haman rushed home. He covered his head because he was very sad. He told his wife Zeresh everything that had happened. He also told all his friends. His advisors and his wife Zeresh spoke to him. They said, "Your fall from power started with Mordecai. He's a Jew, so now you can't stand up with him against him. You're going to be destroyed." They were still talking with him when the king's officials arrived. They hurried Haman away to the feast Esther had prepared. So the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's feast. They were drinking wine on the second day. The king asked, "What do you want, Queen Esther? I'll give it to you. What do you want me to do for you? I'll even give you up to half of my kingdom." Then Queen Esther answered, "Your Majesty, I hope you will be pleased to let me live. That's what I want. Please spare my people. That's my appeal to you. My people and I have been sold to be destroyed. We've been sold to be killed and wiped out. Suppose we had only been sold as male and female slaves. Then I wouldn't have said anything. That kind of suffering wouldn't be a good enough reason to bother you." King Xerxes asked Queen Esther, "Who is the man who is dared to do such a thing? And where is he?" Esther said, "The man hates us. He is our enemy. He's this evil Haman." Then Haman was terrified in front of the king and queen. The king got up. He was very angry. He lifted his wine and went out into the palace garden. But Haman realized that the king had already decided what he was going to do to him. So he stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life. The king returned from the palace garden to the dinner hall. Just then he saw Haman falling on the couch where Esther was lying. The king shouted, "Will he even treat the queen like this? Will he harm her while she is right here with me in the palace?" As soon as the king finished speaking, his men covered Haman's face. Then Harbiner said, "There's a pole standing near Haman's house. He has prepared it for Mordecai. Mordecai is the one who spoke up to help you." Haman had planned to have him put to death. He was going to have the pole stuck through his body. Then he was going to set it up at a place where it would be 75 feet above the ground. Harbiner was one of the officials who attended the king. The king said to his men, "Put Haman to death. Stick the pole through his body. Set it up where everyone can see it." So they did. Then they used the pole Haman had prepared for Mordecai. Then the king's anger calmed down. That same day, King Xerxes gave Queen Esther everything Haman had owned. Haman had been the enemy of the Jews. Esther told the king that Mordecai was her cousin, so Mordecai came to see the king. The king took his ring off. It had his royal mark on it. He'd taken it back from Haman, and now he gave it to Mordecai. And Esther put Mordecai in charge of everything Haman had earned. Esther made another appeal to the king. She fell at his feet and wept. She begged him to put an end to the evil plan of Haman, the Agagite. He decided to kill the Jews. The king reached out his gold scepter toward Esther. She got up and stood in front of him. She said, King Xerxes, I hope you think that what I'm asking is the right thing to do. I hope you are pleased with me. If you are, and if it pleases you, let an order be written. Let it take the place of the messages Haman wrote. Haman was the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. He planned to kill the Jews. He wrote orders to destroy us and all your territories. I couldn't stand by and see the horrible trouble that would fall on my people. I couldn't stand to see my family destroyed. King Xerxes gave a reply to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew. He said, Haman attacked the Jews, so I've given Esther everything he owned. My men have stuck a pole through his dead body, and now they've said, where everyone can see. Now write another order in my name. Do it for the benefit of the Jews. Do what seems best to you. Stamp the order with my royal mark. Nothing that is written in my name and stamped with my mark can ever be changed. Right away the king sent for the royal secretaries. It was the 23rd day of the 3rd month. That was the month of Sivan. They wrote down all Mordecai's orders to the Jews. They also wrote them to the royal officials, the governors and the nobles of the 127 territories in his kingdom. The territories reached from India all the way to Kush. The orders were written down in the writing of each territory. They were written in the language of each nation. They were also written to the Jews in their own writing and language. Mordecai wrote the orders of the name of in the name of King Xerxes. He stamped them with the king's royal mark. He sent them by messengers on horseback. They rode fast horses that were raced just for the king. The Jews in every city could now gather together and fight for their lives. The king's order gave them that right, but suppose soldiers from any nation or territory attacked them, their women or children, and the Jews could destroy, kill, and wipe out their soldiers. They could also take the goods that belonged to the enemies. A day was appointed for the Jews to do that in the king's territories. It was the 13th day of the 12th month. That was the month of Adar. A copy of the order was sent out as law in every territory. It was announced to the people of every nation, so the Jews would be ready on that day. They would pay back their enemies. The messengers rode on the royal horses. They raced along. And that's what the king commanded them to do. The order was also sent out in the form of Caesar. Mordecai left the king and went on his way. Mordecai was wearing royal clothes as he went. They were blue and white. He was also wearing a large gold crown, and he was wearing a purple crown. It was made out of fine linen. The city of Susa celebrated with great joy. The Jews were filled with joy and happiness. They were very glad because now they were being honored. They celebrated and enjoyed good food. They were glad and full of joy. That was true everywhere the king's order came. It was true in every territory and every city. Many people from other nations announced that they had become Jews. That's because they were so afraid of the Jews. The king's order had to be carried out on the 13th day of the 12th month. That was the month of Adar. On that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to win the battle over them. But now everything had changed. The Jews had gained the advantage over those who hated them. The Jews gathered together in their cities. They gathered in all the territories King Xerxes ruled over. They came together to attack those who tried to destroy them. No one could stand up against them. The people from all the other nations were afraid of them. All the nobles in the territories helped the Jews. So did the royal officials, the governors, and the king's officers. That's because they were so afraid of Mordecai. He was well known in the palace. His fame spread all through the territories, so he became more and more important. The Jews struck down with swords all their enemies. They killed them and destroyed them. Then they did what they pleased to those who hated them. The Jews killed 500 men. They destroyed them in the fort of Susa. They also killed Parshandatha, Dalphon, Aspartha, Asbetha, Poratha, Adalia, Aridatha, Parmashta, Arisai, Arida, and Vizetha. They were the 10 sons of Haman. He was the son of Hammedatha. Haman had been the enemy of the Jews. They didn't take everything. They didn't take anything that belonged to their enemies. A report was brought to the king that same day. He was told how many men had been killed in the fort of Susa. He said to Queen Esther, the Jews had killed 500 men. They destroyed them in the fort of Susa. They also killed the 10 sons of Haman there. What have they done in the rest of my territories? Now what do you want? I'll give it to you. What do you want me to do for you? I'll do that too. If it pleases you, Esther answered, let the Jews and Susa carry out today's order tomorrow. Stick poles through the dead bodies of Haman's 10 sons. Set them up where everyone can see them. So the king commanded that it be done. An order was sent out in Susa, and the king's men did to the bodies of Haman's sons everything they were told to do. The Jews and Susa came together on the 14th day of the month of Adar. They put 300 men to death in Susa, but they didn't take anything that belonged to those men. During that time, the rest of the Jews also gathered together. They lived at the king's territory. They came together to fight for their lives. They didn't want their enemies to bother them anymore. They wanted to get some peace and rest, so they killed 75,000 of their enemies. But they didn't take anything that belonged to them. It happened on the 13th of Adar. On the 14th day, they rested. They made it a day to celebrate with great joy, and they enjoyed good food. But the Jews and Susa had gathered together on the 13th and 14th. Then on the 15th, they rested. They made a day to celebrate with great joy, and they enjoyed good food. That's why Jews who live in the villages celebrate on the 14th of Adar. They celebrate that day with great joy, and they enjoy good food. They also give presents to each other on that day. Mordecai wrote down all these events. He sent letters to all the Jews all through the territories of King Xerxes. It didn't matter whether the Jews lived nearby or far away. Mordecai told them to celebrate the 14th and 15th days of the month of Adar. He wanted them to do it every year. Mordecai told the Jews to celebrate the time when they got rest from their enemies. That was the month when their sadness was turned into joy. It was a day when their weeping turned into a day for celebrating. He wrote the letters to celebrate those days as times of joy. He wanted the people to enjoy good food. He only told them to give presents of food to one another. He also wanted them to give gifts to anyone who were poor. So the Jews agreed to continue the celebrating they had started. They kept doing what Mordecai had written to them. Haman was the son of Hammedatha the Agagite. He had been the enemy of all the Jews. They had planned to destroy them. They had cast a lot to destroy them completely. The lot was called Pur, but the king had found out about Haman's evil plan. So the king had sent out written orders. He had ordered that Haman's evil plan against the Jews should happen to them instead. The king has commanded that the poles be stuck with the dead bodies of Haman and his sons. Then they could be set up where everyone could see them. The days the Jews were celebrating were called Purim. Purim comes from the word Pur. Pur means law. Now the Jews celebrate these 2 days every year. They do it because for everything they also do it because of what they had seen and what had happened to them. So they established it as a regular practice. They decided they would always observe these 2 days of the year, and they would celebrate in the required way, and they would celebrate at the appointed time. They and their children after them would always observe these days, and so would all who joined them. The days should be remembered and celebrated. They should be remembered by every family for all time to come. They should be celebrated in every territory and in every city. The Jews should never stop celebrating the days of Purim. Their children after them should always remember these days. So Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, wrote a second letter. She wrote it together with Mordecai the Jew. They wanted to give their full authority to this second letter about Purim. Mordecai sent letters to all the Jews in the 127 territories of the kingdom of Xerxes. The letters had messages of kindness and hope in them. The letters established the days of Purim at their appointed times. The They spoke about what Mordecai the Jew, and Queen Esther had ordered done. The people to do. Everything should be done in keeping with the directions the Jews had set up for themselves and their children after them. Their directions applied to their times of fasting and sadness. Esther's order established the rules about appearing. It was written down in the records. King Xerxes required people all through his kingdom to bring gifts. King Xerxes required gifts from his father's shores. All the king's powerful and mighty acts are written down. That includes the whole story of how important Mordecai was. The king had given him a position of great honor. All these things are written in the official records of the kings of Media and Persia. The position of Mordecai the Jew was second only to the position of King Xerxes. Mordecai was the most important Jew. All the other Jews had the highest respect for him. That's because he worked for the good of his people, and he spoke up for the benefit of all the Jews. Proverbs 16. People make plans in their hearts, but the Lord puts the correct answer on their tongues. Everything a person does might seem pure to them, but the Lord knows why they do what they do. Commit to the Lord everything you do. Then He will make your plan succeed. But the Lord works everything out to the proper end. Even those who do wrong were made for a day of trouble. The Lord hates all those who have proud hearts. You can be sure that they will be punished. Through love and truth, sin is paid for. People avoid evil when they have respect for the Lord. When the way you live pleases the Lord, He makes even your enemies live at peace with you. It is better to have a little and do right than to have a lot and be unfair. In their hearts, human beings plan their life, but the Lord decides where the steps will take them. The king speaks as if his words come from God, and what he says does not turn right into wrong. Honor scales and balances belong to the Lord. He made all the weights in the back. The king hates it when his people do what is wrong. A ruler is made secure when they do what is right. Kings are pleased when what you say is honest. They value people who speak what is right. An angry king can order your death, but a wise person will try to calm him down. When a king's face is happy, it means life. His favor is like rain in the spring. It is much better to get wisdom than gold. It is much better to choose understanding than silver. The path of honest people takes them away from you. Those who guard their ways guard their lives. If you are proud, you will be destroyed. If you are proud, you will fall. Suppose you are lowly in spirit, along with those who are treated badly. That is better than sharing stolen goods with those who are proud. If anyone pays attention to what they are taught, they will succeed. Blessed is the person who trusts in the Lord. Wise hearts are known for understanding what is right. Kind words make people want to learn more. Understanding is like a fountain of life to those who have it, but foolish people are punished for the foolish things they do. The hearts of wise people guide their mouths. Their words make people want to learn more. Their kind words are like honey. They are sweet to the spirit and bring healing to the body. There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death. The hunger of workers makes them work. The hunger drives them on. A worthless person plans to do evil things. Their words are like a burning fire. A twisted person stirs up conflict. Anyone who talks about others separates close friends. A person who wants to hurt others tries to get them to sin. That person leads them down a path that isn't good. Whoever winks with their eyes plans to do wrong. Whoever twists their lips tightly is up to no good. Grey hair is a glorious gland. You get it by living the right way. It is better to be patient than to fight. It is better to control your temper than to take a seat. Those are accustomed to the left to make decisions, but everything they decide comes from the Lord. Psalm 49. Hear this, all you nations. Listen, all you who live in this world. Listen, people, whether you are ordinary or important. Listen, people, whether you are rich or poor. My mouth will speak wise words. What I think about in my heart will give you understanding. I will pay attention to a proverb. I will explain my riddle as I play the harp. Why should I be afraid when trouble comes? Why should I fear when sins are all around me? They are the kind of people who want to take advantage of me. They trust in their wealth. They brag about how rich they are. No one can pay for the life of anyone else. No one can give God what that would cost. The price for a life is very high. No payment is ever enough. No one can pay enough to live forever and not rot in the grave. Everyone can see that even wise people die. People are foolish and who have no sense, so pass away. And all of them leave their wealth to others. Their tips will remain their houses forever. Their graves will be their homes for all time to come. Naming lands after themselves won't help either. Even though people may be very rich, they don't live on and on. They are like the animals. They die. That's what happens to those who trust in themselves. It also happens to their followers who agree with what they say. They are like sheep and will end up in the grave. Death will be their shepherd. But when honest people come to battle, a new day will dawn. The bodies of sinners will waste away in the grave. They will end up far away from their princely houses. But God will save me from the place of the dead. He'll suddenly take me to himself. Don't get too upset when other people become rich. Don't be troubled when they become more and more wealthy. They won't take anything with them when they die. Their riches won't go down to the grave with them. When they live, while they live, they believe they will last. People praise them when things were going well for them, that they will die, just like their people of longer. They will never again see the light of life. People who are riches but don't understand are like the animals. They die. Now that it's done, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as you also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.